alleys.
Parks Committee will now come to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderwoman Cruzen,
Here.
Alderman French,
Present.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderman Villa, Alderman Carter, Alderwoman Ingracia,
Present.
Alderwoman Tyus,
Present.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Present.
Alderwoman Green, Chairman Ortman.
Present.
7 present, you have a quorum.
Alderwoman, you're on. We'll hear Board Bill 138.
Good, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for hearing this bill this morning. This is possibly the shortest bill that's ever been before.
Looks
you.
good.
And this is a bill that proposes to rename Confederate Drive in Forest Park to be called Cricket East Drive. Now, for those of you that don't know, Confederate Drive is a little street, maybe not even a block long. It's got a curve in it. It's in front of the Confederate Memorial. And it runs right off of Cricket Drive along Wendell. So, really as, I think Confederate Drive, and I won't even talk about the Confederate Memorial here because that's not before us today. But I think it's upsetting, offensive to many people in our community, and I think the renaming it to just Cricket Drive East, which is the drive that it is off of, is just a good thing to do at this time.
Alderman French, questions?
I have a question, I guess a comment is that, this kind of stuff is easy, and, renaming streets and stuff like that. One of the things that I find most offensive about Forest Park is lack of basketball courts.
That's been my thing.
African Americans seem to be systemically not welcomed there very often, so this is a nice start. I'll leave it at that.
Alderman Vaccaro.
No question.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
No question.
Alderwoman Tyus.
Well, first of all, I've been saying what Antonio said for 24 years. It's always real interesting to me that, and in fact, originally when we did our first redistricting, when none of you all were here except for me, Forest Park was supposed to be split into the 26th and the 28th ward. That was an agreement we had that was broken because we thought that it shouldn't be in a all-white ward, being it was such a big, huge part of the city. Saying all that, that didn't happen after double cross. So my problem with this bill is not so much a change to cricket, is that it doesn't go far enough for me. In that there are, as I've been able to ascertain, there are no streets in the whole Forest Park that are named after black people. And so a little history, we used to be able to change names of a lot of things, and her predecessor, Alderman McGuire, got quite upset that we, some black people started changing some things in the black community. And when I was a first year down here in 91, I think, he got Mary Ross to sponsor a bill that made it pretty prohibitive for you to change names. But I think if you're really gonna go toward a step, and I talked to Alderman Kinney yesterday about this, that you really need to rename it something black. A few years ago, well, it's been more than a few now, but when Lacy Clay was a state senator, the KKK took over cleaning up Highway 55. The best thing Lacy, I give him this, we sat down and talked about it, the best thing he ever did was, and they insisted, in which they legally should have had a right, they were correct legally, they were letting other people, and so they had a right, but he renamed that stretch of 55 Rosa Park. That is how you do things to me, okay? That was ingenious. So taking it and naming it Cricket East, although it's certainly better than Confederate Drive, it doesn't go far enough to me, and we need to find some streets in Forest Park to name after some. We got a lot of famous African Americans. One of them is my relative, Tina Turner, that's from here. I've been here for a long time, that we need to do. So I'm not going to vote for this, but I will just be voting present. Alderman Kennedy did tell me that this Cricket Drive was gonna be moved and it was not gonna be Cricket East for a long time and something was gonna happen. But I think we as a board ought to take up holistically looking at Forest Park and making it welcome to everybody and not, if we don't have basketball courts. The President of the United States came to the city of St. Louis to play basketball and could not play in Forest Park, had to go to Steve Roberts' house to play basketball. That's embarrassing and shameful, and shame on us. And I've been talking about it as long as I can, and nothing has ever gotten done. And it sends a ugly, ugly message to me in a sport in which so many African-American children play basketball. There's no place in that huge park that we can have a basketball court. That's my statement.
Alderwoman Murphy.
It's about time that we change it. That's it.
Alderman Williamson.
No, just a comment. I agree that we could use more African American awareness in Forest Park, and we really need to work on that. And we'll be working with Alderwoman Cruzen and in the Parks Department. We do need a little bit more presence of African Americans in Forest Park. At the same time, I just want to commend you for changing the name. I like to be added as a co-sponsor. And then hopefully down the road we can name some of those streets, just like Alderman French and Alderwoman Tyus brought up with this about African American. That's what I have to say.
Before I entertain a motion, would anyone else like to be a co-sponsor?
I'm gonna suggest that we just hold this in committee. I didn't realize that it was not something that, you would wanna do.
I said, no.
And so
I said this was
I'm
better.
gonna suggest we
Okay.
just hold it in committee.
Let me say this again. This is much better than Confederate flag. Okay, but I'm saying that, and so you go ahead
But
and do
you took
this.
the opportunity.
Right. Because I am.
I'm gonna hold this in committee.
Fine.
And, maybe we can, talk, I'd be happy to talk with you, happy to talk with you, Alderman French, or anybody else about this. This was introduced back in July. I have not gotten, negative feedback about this bill since July. Now, I understand that the committee hearing is the time to do that, so I'm just gonna hold it in committee.
All right, before we adjourn the meeting, Alderman Carter, it's in front of you if you want to take a look at it.
It's very short.
So you can make roll call
We
here.
all voted to name it Chris Carter Jr.
Add me to the list of sponsors.
What she was doing.
All right, meeting adjourned.